We can be anything we want to be. Positivity. Hey, we have Amy with the Santa Calagon Festival. Amy, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling up and talking to us. This is
Amy, give
great.
us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? Talk a little bit about your family and career.
Sure. I grew up in Independence, Missouri, so I'm 56 years old. I've lived here my whole life, and I love Independence. It's right in the heart of the Midwest, and I think we just encapsulate that whole Midwest feeling so perfectly. I have had a very strange career. I've kind of gone from path to path to path in a lot of different ways, depending on whether I was single or had babies or what. But my most recent was the director of the Independent School District Foundation. So I did that for about 5 years and then came over to the chamber. I had a very brief stint with the chamber. Right before I went to the foundation. So that kind of got me familiar with the festival a little more so. And then, and the chamber folks. And I also, our festivals held on the Independence Square. And for about 8 years, my husband and I had a business on our historic square. And I lived just about 6 blocks off the square. So I've been knee deep in Santa Calagon for a whole lot of years and just love it. I've been back at the chamber now for about 3 years. And it's probably the best job I've ever had. I have such a heart for the festival, and I love working with it.
Okay, let's talk about the heart of the festival. If you described the purpose of this specific event, what would you say the purpose is?
Well, we like to say it's to celebrate the trails that kicked off, the Santa Fe, California, and Oregon trails that kicked off in Independence, Missouri, all those years ago. Honestly, to me, every year I look at it as it's a gift to the community because it's one of those things, and I'm sure there's a lot of festivals out there like that, but it is one of those that people just have such a heart for, whether you're from Independence or I just got off a phone call with a guy who grew up in Warrensburg. He remembers coming up to it. Iowa, Nebraska. I mean, all around people have it's been around long enough now at 50 working on year 54. It's been around long enough that people are very familiar with it, and they just have so many good memories of it. And I think one of the blessings of it is the way it's morphed over the years, from the time I was a little kid to the way it is now is very different. So I like that.
Very good, very good. If you talk about a strength that you feel like over the years your festival has developed, if you described a couple of your strengths, what do you think your strengths are?
Golly, I have to say one of them, as I said, I'm a former business owner on the Independence Square. It's something that we've been able to do for our little historic square for some of the small business owners up there and some not so small business owners that are on our square. It brings in, I used to call it mini Christmas when we had our business. It was 4 days of a Christmas season packed into one weekend. So it really brings a lot of attention to those brick and mortar businesses on our square. The vendors that it brings in from outside that come from all over the country to sell their wares, I think they come back year after year and they do it because it's huge. And I hear over and over again how people say it's the best. It's hands down the best festival we've done. And now that I'm the director, they say we run it very well, which makes me happy. I inherited the processes, so I can't claim them, but we're very interested in making sure our vendors are happy and we make it as easy as possible for them. But I gotta say, overall, the heart of the festival to me is the nonprofits that come and sell year after year after year after year and make budgets and the kids we've sent to scout camp and the mission trips that we've supported and all these nonprofits and independents that we have been able to pour our time into, but the community has poured money into is just there's no matching it.
So describe for our listeners how that process works. If they have a festival and they want to incorporate more nonprofits, let's say a nonprofit corporate, they contact you and say, hey, we'd like to be part of the festival. What does that look like? You mentioned they sell things. What does that look like? And how does that money distributed and kind of go through that process?
Sure. We basically treat them just like a vendor, any other vendor that would come in, however, they get a reduced rate. So if
Okay.
you are a nonprofit and it hasn't changed, I'll use one of our churches, for example. They come in at $500 and a arts and crafts vendor would come in at a higher price than that, not terribly higher, but it is higher. But commercial vendors who, and to be honest, most of the nonprofits, if not all, sell food as well. But a food vendor comes in at about $12.50. So they get a significant savings. And again, it's just because we want them to do well. So that could be, yeah, as long as they have a nonprofit, 501c3, they can come in at that reduced rate. And like I said, they do sell food items. We are, maybe it's just me, but we're definitely pretty protective of those nonprofits. So if we have, for instance, a scout troop that's been selling, pulled pork sandwiches for years, or doing funnel cakes or something, we try to really protect those and make sure that we don't get just an over, which we do for all our vendors, but probably extra close to the nonprofits. We just want to make sure that they're really protected and have a really great opportunity to sell as much as possible.
Okay. All right. Now let's talk about this. You've been doing this festival for a number of years. What's an area that you feel like you could strengthen? What's maybe an area that I don't want to call it a weakness, but an area that you'd like to see improvement in?
I'll tell you, one thing that we could use more space, to be honest. We're kind of landlocked at the moment with just with our contract with the city and various logistics that go into that. No fault of the city, it's just a
Sure.
matter of the
Sure.
way we are landlocked. We could use more space. We could get more vendors in, more sponsors, et cetera, if we had more space.
What are some ideas that you have tossed around to do that? I'm sure that this is not the only situation that would involve.
Yeah, we are definitely looking at kind of doing some very, very beginning steps of trying to find festival grounds, if it would even be possible. I don't know if it would. Again, you come into the challenge of people are so used to it being on the square that to move it elsewhere would be kind of a downfall as well too, but there would be
Sure.
bonuses on the other side of it. So we're kind of tossing that around. Challenges, I have to say, we were really built as an arts and crafts festival for so many years, and people came up for that tchotchke that was the item of the year, and everybody bought that item, and it was truly, Jim and Susan Smith putting stuff together in the garage and bringing up and selling here. And it's the new age. It's the new age of people don't have to come to Santa Calagon to do that now. They can sell it at home online. So it's the challenge of really trying to still get people here who are truly arts and crafts. That's always a struggle, and we're always thrilled when we can get people who are willing to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. As you look ahead to the future, what are some goals you've set?
Growth.
Yeah.
Always growth. We're always looking for more sponsors. We have been also, I have to say, very blessed in that some of our sponsors are very good about really utilizing their space and making it fun. So it's not just a sponsor booth that's set up that people walk right by. They make them very interactive. In fact, I had a call earlier today with a sponsor, and that was their big thing. They wanted booth space. They want to be able to interact and get involved with people. So that definitely helps if you can do that. I don't know if that answers the question,
Yeah,
but that's
no, absolutely,
one of the
absolutely. I want to
biggest.
touch on something that you mentioned earlier. Um, you mentioned early in the conversation that your businesses in this area really benefit from this event. How do those businesses invest back into this event? Because obviously, if it's a good return for them, what are some ways that they are currently investing back into the Santa Clara Festival?
Well, you know what, and I should have mentioned it. Typically, what we do is where we have brick and mortar buildings who are going to be open. That's our qualification. If they're going to be open during the festival, we give them space. We leave like a 10 by 10 space open in front of their building so that people will see that there's a brick and mortar building behind it. So we give that to them at no cost. Now, if they're going to spread out into the street and actually set up and try to sell on the street as well in front of their building, we just ask that they abide by all the festival hours, which I'll be honest, a lot of them don't want to do that. When my husband and I had our business, we did not. We wanted to close the doors when we wanted to close the doors, but we still rock and rolled throughout the weekend. It was still crazy. But they really do, honestly, one of the big things is it gives people, when they come in, it gives them a break. If they want to pop into the air conditioning and be able to look around in an air conditioned store as opposed to being outside, that's a good thing. A lot of them will have reduced menus that they'll sell out of the front of their store if they're a food business, so that helps a lot. Our Square Association itself is magnificent. The two people that kind of head that up, the directors of that, man, they are on golf carts all weekend, and they are monitoring, and their eyes on the street, and they're heavily involved in the festival. So it's hit or miss. I like to say it's very much a blessing and a curse for those businesses that are up there. Some of them, it's a burden to have to be open, and it's a lot. And I get that. Most of our service businesses up there are not open. The hair salons, the insurance agencies, that kind of stuff, they typically don't open.
Right, right. If people want to learn more, and let me ask you this: Are you part of any associations that share information amongst each other in regards to festivals and events and that affect downtown, deal with Chamber of Commerce, economic development? Do you guys network in any of those platforms?
You know what? I have to say, if there is, I am not part of any, and I would really love it. I get those random emails of festival conferences and so forth. And to be honest, I've never attended any, but I would love to. I mean, I think it'd be, when I worked with the foundation, we had an area school district foundation group that would meet, and it's very beneficial. But no, I'm not currently part of any.
Sure, sure. How do people reach out to you? I know we touched on a few things that could probably benefit other festivals, events, including nonprofits, and really letting them step in and get a voice in the community. I think that's a great idea. If they want to share, like you mentioned, your challenge is logistics and size. If they've had a similar situation, how do people reach out to you, Amy?
Yeah, for sure. That's nice of you to ask. They can go to Santa Caligon, SantaCaligon.com, and they can contact us through that. There's a contact us tab on there, and yeah, we'd love to. It kind of gives the history of the festival and a little more about it as well.
Very good. Very good. Amy, thanks for being on with me. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. I sure appreciate it.
You bet. Hey guys, we are with Lucille, and she is with Wakanda Lake Fest. Lucille, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Lucille, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? Talk a little bit about your family.
Okay, actually, I grew up in Southeast Kansas near the city of Parsons. Went to Kansas State University, met my husband there, and that's how I came to North Central Kansas. We live in Mitchell County, near Beloit in Lincoln County, or Lincoln,
Okay.
Kansas. And we've raised cattle and farmed for a number of years, and I was a school teacher for more than 38 years. And then I became a tourism director. So that's how I latched on to Lake Fest.
Wow, there's a lot going on there. It's perfect. Okay, let's jump into Lake Fest, the when and the where.
Wakanda Lake Fest is held in Glen Elder State Park each year on the 4th of July weekend. We don't always hit the 4th of July, but we use the 4th of July weekend. We are a 501c3 organization, and our goal is to earn funds to promote activities at Glen Elder State Park and to commemorate the history of the Wakanda Mineral Springs that was located at Glen Elder State Park. There's a whole history story there that I can share a little more later if you like, but
Okay, yeah.
those are our goals. And so Lake Fest is our big fundraiser, and we have a great big party on the weekend that fireworks is held at the state park.
Very cool. Very cool. What started this endeavor?
Actually, back in 2017, when I became a tourism director, we looked over at Glen Elder State Park, and the story of the Wakanda Mineral Springs had been kind of lost over the years. When conservation and flooding happened in the United States, Wakanda Lake was built over the site of the Wakanda Mineral Springs, which was a worship location for all the Native Americans in the United States. They would come here to worship, and following that, when white settlers came, investors from Pennsylvania built a hotel, and it became a spa and a recreational location. Eventually, actual medical doctors purchased it. And at the time when penicillin was not available, people would come to the Wakanda Mineral Springs for therapy. But in 1969, when the federal government started creating all of the lakes and dams throughout the United States in order to stop the flooding that was happening, plans were made to build Glen Elder State Park and Wakanda Lake. And in that process, the people who owned the Wakanda Springs and the sanitarium, the spa area, could not get it approved to save that location. So it was actually covered up by the lake. And so now, instead of having the actual springs, we are trying to preserve the history of the Wakanda Mineral Springs in Kansas.
Wow, that's good. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. If looking at the festival itself, give us a visual of what that weekend looks like.
Okay, well, everything in Glen Elder State Park is named after Native Americans.
Okay.
So we're in Osage Park. It's an large open area right next to the water. In past years, we have set up multiple tents. We have an entertainment tent. We've had multiple bands in our entertainment tent, both local and regional, throughout the years. We've started in about 2019 doing this. And around the area, we have a large beer garden area. We have a family activity area with a cornhole and other activities, water activities for the kids, volleyball, horseshoes. We just set up a large area of food trucks so everyone can enjoy the food. But it's sitting right next to the lake. So you can sit in your lawn chair, watch the music, listen to the music, and look across the lake.
Awesome. Talk about the impact that the community has on this event, the number of volunteers that are involved, the board members that go through there, and then also talk about the impact that this event has on your community.
Okay, we have a board of 13 people for our Wakanda Cultural Association. We are the Friends group, so we are the heart of working on Lake Fest. It is our main event. We have several local businesses, Wakanda Boats and Motors, Becker's Auto and Trailers, and Cunningham Communications, three of our anchor businesses that support us heavily in trying to host this event. We probably involve 50 to 100 volunteers in order to create the day. We don't start until after lunch. Kansas can be kind of hot, you know. So we wait and start about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then we open the beer garden and all of the activities for the rest of the evening. A huge draw for us, and the community is involved in. This is the perfect place in the park to sit and watch the fireworks display. And we do have a large fireworks display provided by the community at about 9:30 at night. So we have the perfect location. So that's why we've had at least 500 people come. And there's a fun run in the morning. We have groups that are joining us with some new activities every year. So we're able, at one point, if you want to, we're able to do some cool things in the park with the funds that we're raising. But we just really enjoy hosting this party and having the fireworks.
That's awesome. As you look ahead to the future, and you know, everybody has a vision, and I think visions are good, especially when they improve things or change things to evolve around your community. As you look ahead to the future, what are some things that you are picturing and looking forward to?
One area of our visioning has to do with maintaining that history of the Wakanda Springs and honoring the Native American history of our area. Nice. So we concentrate on that, and this next year we're going to work more on that. We opened a small museum. We refurbished a replica of the springs since 2018. Wow. You can walk up and read all about the history of it in an open air museum. Our latest projects are Art in the Park. One of the gentlemen on our board also works with iron. He created a 35-foot arrow and it is lodged in the ground next to our museum. So if someone wants a great photo op, this arrow creates a great memory of Native Americans, without actually hosting a certain
What city is that in?
We are between Glen Elder, Kansas, and Cocker City, Kansas.
Okay.
And the arrow is in Glen Elder State Park next
Okay.
to our museum.
It's in the park. Gotcha.
We've also had in the last year a donation of a beautiful, probably 5 foot tall metal buffalo art piece.
Mhm.
And we'll be putting that in the park this spring and having a dedication ceremony for that. So on one side, we try to preserve the Native American history and the prairie history of ourselves. On the other side, we were this year with fundraising from Lake Fest, we were able to purchase a new playground for one of the parks. We have a lot of families that come to our park, and we wanted to start bringing them more activities for their kids. Envisioning for the future, about 3 years ago, we hosted our fundraiser specifically to try to build a larger shelter house so that we could host Lake Fest and also our Native American festival that we have under a larger shelter. So we were able to donate $50,000 to the state park system, and we'll be building a 40 by 80 foot shelter house in 2025 for our 2026 season. So we're very excited about that, besides the smaller things that we do, like purchase tables and things.
What an event, just to have to preserve the history, like you talked about, and that is vitally important because it really entwines a lot. And then to be able to give back into the community, back to the state park, that's fantastic as you go through. If people want to attend this event, or they want to support, they want to donate, how do they do that?
At any state park in Kansas, you can come in for a $5 day pass.
Okay.
And so our event is actually free
Okay.
by paying for the park pass. And then you can make purchases like the beer garden and other things
Sure.
At our event. But because it's a state park, we wanted to keep entry as minimal as possible. So there is no charge for the music and all the activities that are there. And you can find us. We have a website, wakanda.com. It tells about our 501c3 and all of our projects and our goals. And then we also have a Wakanda Cultural Association Facebook page. And that's where you'll find the current events and the new activities.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Lucille, thanks for being on with us today. I appreciate it.
Well, I enjoyed talking to you, and I hope you'll get to visit us sometime.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey guys, we today are with Jill. She's in Caldwell, Kansas, home of the Chisholm Trail Festival. Jill, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's beautiful in Kansas today, is it not?
Yes, it's nice and overcast, but it's going to be in the 50s. So
Yes.
nice
Give
for
us a
that.
little background on you. Where'd you grow up, and talk a little bit about your family and your career.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I grew up right here in Caldwell, Kansas. We're right here on the border of Oklahoma. Um, I grew up as daughter of a veterinarian, so I did a lot of work in the vet office since I was a young child. So kind of grew up with the animals, and farming around here is very prevalent. So we're highly agricultural here. We are straight south of Wichita, straight north of Oklahoma City. So right in the middle of everything here, and grew up, went to Kansas State University, and married the love of my life. So we live here. We raised 3 children. We farmed together, and I'm the CEO of a rural broadband company, and we serve about 11 counties here in both Kansas and Oklahoma. We're 50-50, serving a lot of rural communities and connecting some more county seats as we go. So it's been an interesting couple of years, as everybody needs broadband to modernize, how we do life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's jump into the Chisholm Trail Fest. Let's start with the when and the where.
So it's always the first weekend of May, the first full weekend. We used to coordinate it with our local rodeo. Family-owned rodeo went out of business. So we ended up doing some bull riding, and did that for, a decade. And then now we've moved it. We've had a cross country race and the whole thing. So every 10 years we refresh it, and now we've turned it into a music festival so that we can get all kinds of genres. But last year was our kickoff of that. So we've been doing the fest since 1995, celebrating our birth on the trail. The Chisholm Trail came from Texas to Abilene, Kansas, and we are the first town north of Indian Territory in its day, and it was a big deal. So kind of sprung up on the trail, kind of a shanty town, dirty, rough, lots of murders and lots of marshals. We went through, I think, 16 marshals in 3 years. Nobody could stay alive. Or they were usually ruffians that came, our best one ran with Billy the Kid. He's the only one that can control it all. So I don't know. We have a lot of murder mystery stories we do here locally too. So it's been a lot of fun getting into our storytelling because we have so many stories to tell. Every year brings a new batch.
Yeah. All right. Very good. When we talk about the, off air, we talked about three things that you really wanted to highlight. Let's talk about the music portion. I'm most interested in that.
Yeah.
Never been to Caldwell, Kansas. Tell us about the music portion of your festival.
So we've noticed over the past when we do a live music for our big years, we had 3 sesquicentennials here. We had to we celebrated the state sesquicentennial for Kansas, and then the actual Chisholm Trail sesquicentennial, and then Caldwell's 150th year. So when we did that, we brought in live music and some bands. We used our fair stage. We host a county fair. So we noticed the turnout and just the feel and the spirit and the people, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, live music, it's good for the soul. We love it. How do we do more of this? So converting into like, how do we do more of that and just make this more of a, everybody's vibe is live music and appreciating the arts of that and the storytelling part of that. So we kicked it off last year celebrating our hometown boy, Byron Berline. And he is a bluegrass fiddler with quite the history, quite the story. So it was fun to tell his growing up across the line in Oklahoma, going to school here, going to OU, playing football, and then really getting into his music down there and then taking off with it. His story is incredible. So the fiddle player for Turnpike Troubadours usually wears his Byron Berline t-shirt at his concerts. And so it was very fun to like, hey, let's do a storytelling of this and do our own like cultural storytelling and humanities. And then we added in some of the state grant-funded humanities speakers to come in and talk about music on the trails, just making music. Everybody had a fiddle, everybody had a banjo back when the states were being settled. It's just so fascinating to me how music is the constant, that glue that brings people together and makes people feel good. So we have 4 actually little stops where you could have a little pub crawl downtown. We're very small, but we've always been rowdy and a lot of fun. So we can get live music in each of those, but we also can pull out our stage for our county fair stage. And we had acts that were a singer-songwriter from down the road in Oklahoma. She was fantastic. Doing some country. We have a lot of red dirt here, of course. Red dirt, we're surrounded by it. Red dirt. Or Red Hills.
Right.
We're in the Red Hills right here a little bit. We're in the right between the Flint Hills and the Red Hills. So we have a lot of that. We brought, your 70s rock in. That's always a crowd pleaser. We've got the bluegrass, and then usually a little bit of local. We're trying to support the local music scene. So really like up and coming. How do we help them? So a girl down the road about 20 miles, she's in Nashville trying to make it, and so like, hey, Caitlin, you should come and do our show. We'll help you out. So it's kind of a win-win on, I know how hard it must be to make it, in that industry. But celebrating all the current local talent around us is incredible. So it's been a journey. It's been fun. Now we're trying to plan our year 2 of that music fest and keep that vibe going.
Yeah, yeah. What does your community, what talk about the impact, the importance of the role your community plays in putting this on, and then also the impact that it has on the community?
Oh, yeah, incredible impact on the community when we roll out our rug, to be a nice host. So the community gathers up for any celebration and we help each other out. So we have several organizations that do their own thing through that year, and this one happens to be the Chamber of Commerce. puts this one on. Then we get each organization to do a piece of it, so it's not so much on each one. But we're only at 1,000 population, so it's small. You got the best sunrises and sunsets anywhere here. So we try to do, a morning run or an evening, concert, and you've got the sunset behind you, and did a little Red Hills thing where we went out there as well. So the impact for the town is to be able to get involved, come out and celebrate, find their niche of what's fun. And we try to please everyone and have multiple things happening at the same time. So it's almost like celebrate in rounds, just because everybody's so different in what they're going to like to do. And we try to repeat things. We have cool downtown, this very iconic old look, and we're pretty lucky to have it. I don't know, well, I do know why, but it's, our three-story hotels are gone, but as a boom town on the trail, we were able to salvage those 3 blocks. So we get upstairs, we let you do tours of some of those old haunts. We have some ghost tours going on. We have a lot of stories there. We had some tunnels underground. We have one left where you can still go down there and check out the vault and stay down there. They've made it into a fun little pop-up bar and little hat bar. And it's just the variety, I think, that we offer is fun for all ages and all crowds. So we started attracting people that we have a whole set of the International Chisholm Trail Festival group. We follow each other and we get on once a month and we check out each other's towns from Texas to Kansas, and we support each other. And then we get those layers of people coming and that might be hearing about us through somebody else's Chisholm Trail Festival or somebody else's Western Fest or somebody else's Music Fest. And then it's been interesting, the people that have made an effort to come back every year. And last year with our Czech heritage culture that settled here as Kansas was getting settled. They're out west. They have 2 halls and a cemetery. So we're pretty unique, and we have so many of that landmarks here that they do a Pivo beer garden celebrating their heritage at the same time. So this year we're going to do some food cooking courses, make and take, to go along with the live music's going on outside. Fair Association wants to move their drag racing that's on our main street. We are US Highway 81. This is hard to do. And we shut down traffic because we're still a cattle trail. It's just a lot of trucks, right? So you can hardly have a conversation on Main. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I said, why not? We all support each other. So we're going to bring the drag racing somehow with the live music, which do not sound like they come together. So we're always up for a challenge. I think that'll be fun.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Perfect. Let's talk about the future. You mentioned that you kind of revamp the fest every 10 years or so, but as you look to the future, what are some things that you want to see and you want to add? You mentioned the drag racing. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
What are some other visions you've got?
I think we could take it out. We used to do a cross-country race of sorts. And so I know we could do some things like that through the Red Hills, bring in the concerts, maybe do the Red Hills scene and setting for a sunset red dirt concert. And so that's about 3 miles west of town, beautiful bluffs. I could see that happening with a trail ride. The cattle drives that we do are difficult. They're fun, but they do take a lot of energy and a lot out of us. We camp, up the trail every morning. We head out and we do our gathering up, and then we get some guest riders to come in and help with the guests. Love to come on those cattle drives.
Sure.
Figuring out how to do that every year is going to be our next challenge. And we have our local sheriff's deputy / cowboy. He's up for the challenge. So we're working on that too. If we can get our insurance figured out and purchase we have to rent the cattle. But he worked out a deal with a friend. So, that's what small towns do. We just kind of have to find a friend that has some cattle that kind of trusts us. And if we're going to shut down Main Street anyway, let's get the cattle up there. Then we do our gunfight. We have reenactors. When you retire and move back to Caldwell, you get recruited to be a regulator. And you're
There you go. That's
bullets.
awesome.
And then we shut down Main Street and we do a big reenactment of some of these famous gunfights that we had here. So then we could get the cattle up before that, then shoot them up, then drag racing. I think it's going to be the order of events of loudness.
That's spectacular. If people are listening to this, they want to check it out. How do they get information?
We have a very active Facebook page is the main social media avenue we go to, and we have a website at caldwellkansas.com.
Okay.
And Caldwell Chisholm Trail Fest on Facebook. And we'll put the save the dates out. We get our lineup of concerts that we're looking to nab. I went to the big Bluegrass Fest over in Winfield to recruit. We did hire a bluegrass band there, and we have another local that we've put on our agenda, and then we'll fill in. So you'll start seeing the lineup after the first of the year.
Good. Very good. Cool. Jill, thanks for being on with us today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting us. I really, really appreciate the opportunity.
You bet. Hey, we have Vanessa Logsdon. She's with the River Cleanup Festival in Colorado. Vanessa, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Vanessa, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? Talk a little bit about your family and your career.
Sure. I grew up in Florida. I grew up loving to fish, loving on the banks of the Indian River Lagoon, which was a very vibrant ecosystem, and grew up learning fisheries science and biology, which is what my degree is in. Moved to Colorado years later, fell in love with the rafting community, and ended up working at the nonprofit, the Blue River Watershed Group up in Summit County.
How long have you been there?
I've been here 2.5 years now.
Okay. All right. Well, let's jump into the festival. Let's start with the when, the where.
Yeah, so every September, around fall, we have a big countywide river cleanup festival in Summit County where we get over 200 volunteers that come out and they clean up sections of river all across the county, cleaning up things like we found truck toppers, all sorts of old records, trash, just random garbage, things like that as well. And it's a very fun family event. We usually have live music from local bands, have a little vendor village, and we do speakers and educational presentations as well.
So the cleanup itself, does that happen before all the fun and festivities, or is it an ongoing thing through the weekend?
It's so we usually have presentations and stuff the day before, and then the day of the cleanup, we have volunteers go out and they go all around the county picking up trash. We give them bags, we provide them with gloves, a map of a location. We have team leaders, and they get together and go out in these groups and just clean up a ton of trash. This year we got over 4,000 pounds of trash. And then afterwards, we celebrate with a big lunch for the volunteers, the live music. There's a great raffle that all goes towards fundraising. And it's a really great community engagement event. We're very excited for this next year.
Where did that concept come from?
It came from the original board of directors. So our nonprofit was started in 2004. We're 20 years old. And it was founded by a group of really committed community members who are concerned about the health of the Blue River. Our area is very impacted by highways that run through, by a lot of development and a lot of visitation, as well as the old mines and current mines that affect the watershed. And so in an effort to help restore those rivers, this was one of the big founding events, and it's been going on in some form or fashion for over 10 years. But this last year's event was our largest so far.
Now, I know that you keep track of your volunteers. Talk about the advantages that this has to the community, not just in the cleanup efforts itself, but the festivities itself. I'm sure that people travel in for this. You've been doing it for 20 some years now. So families probably come home. Kids probably come home from college. They look forward to this type of event. Talk about the impact that it has for the community outside of the environmental causes.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the problems that Summit County has as a resort community is we have a lot of brain drain. A lot of people leave the community and go elsewhere. And this is a great way to get people into a little bit more of that family feel, that kind of community feel that can sometimes be missing from tourist destinations. And I think it's become a really wonderful touch point for the community to come together and after the tourist season is over, go out and really help restore these areas that get pretty high traffic and unfortunately get a lot of waste clogging them up as well. And when members and volunteers are put in touch with our organization, we usually try and follow up with them and give them other opportunities to help monitor river water quality around the county, join in a lot of our educational events. We do a lot of stuff with water leaders like Denver Water, the county commissioner, bringing water leaders into the community so that they can have hands-on and in-person conversations with people throughout our community. And we also have a couple education programs that we run alongside other nonprofits that provide youth the opportunity to find careers that they can engage in Summit County, so they don't have to leave or go elsewhere to find these jobs in water sciences. There's plenty of work to be done right here in our county, and we like to put kids in touch with those careers.
When you, as a tourist, and just as we travel everywhere as a musician, we get to see a lot of cool places. We think it'd be great to live in some of these places where we travel to, but we don't think about the impact of what tourism does and how it leaves a specific segment of land or part of the country. So hearing this from you hopefully gives our listeners, and including myself, a completely different view of not just traveling to it's an enlightening term would be used lightly to say we've never thought about that, and I think it's great that we're doing this today. Let's talk about other communities across the country who maybe are thinking about getting this process started. If you don't mind, give me like 5 major key points, five things that you would encourage them or keys that they could do to get started. 5 great tips for them to get started in doing this for them.
Sure. I would say first is never forget about the power of a group of good people to do amazing things in your community. Get even a small group of people can lobby for your local politicians to take action. You can gather people together and have real change. And then the other thing is, as a very small nonprofit, we've been able to leverage outside resources. So there's a lot of opportunities through the federal and state government that we can access to bring grant money and things like that in to help make these projects possible. And then also look to local community organizations. A lot of the corporations and businesses, whether they're local businesses or larger corporations in your area, are always looking to fund projects like these. And we are so thankful for our community support. And then 2 more, always being so thankful to your volunteers and communities when you're putting on these events. We love our volunteers and we could not do what we do without them. We would never be able to accomplish the projects that we have been able to accomplish this past year and that we're looking to accomplish in the future without that community support. And then lastly, I would say that forming those wonderful personal relationships with all of your local community leaders, your local politicians. It's very easy, especially in this day and age, to feel a little jaded about politics, but a lot of those people are really able to help and they're able to leverage your voice and the actions that you take. And so we're very lucky in Summit County to have some really wonderful political leaders in our local community politics that have really helped amplify our message and help make our work possible as well.
I love it. I love it. Great answer. Thank you for helping them out. You mentioned it. Let's talk about the future. What are some future projects you have coming up?
Yeah, definitely. So currently through the Bureau of Reclamation, we, alongside of Trout Unlimited, we have a huge multi-year, multi-million-dollar river restoration project to address some of the environmental concerns below the Dillon Dam. There's some big consequences to river ecosystems when you have a dam directly above what used to be gold medal trout fishing waters. And this project aims to restore that status by restoring the habitat, bringing back some of the deep pools and some of the rocky structures that are missing from that river since it doesn't see the flood cycles that are natural. And then another couple projects we have, we're part of the Summit County Outdoor Coalition, which seeks to address some of the issues with climate change, some of the issues that we see with like development and influx of tourism, and also recreation from locals that seeks to address some of those issues like erosion or garbage and trash on trails, and then also seeks to help with inclusivity on those trails, making sure that everyone who wants to get out in the outdoors can. And then we have quite a few projects. We just started Wildfire Ready Watersheds, which is another statewide initiative through the Colorado Water Conservation Board to help protect our watershed and our water infrastructure, as well as general infrastructure from the effects of fire and post-fire flooding. We know here in Colorado that after these big fires come through, the floods can be enormous and very detrimental. So those are our main projects that we're working on right now, and we're really excited to do those and also expand our volunteer river water quality monitoring program in 2025.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thanks for just kind of really, like I said, the enlightenment of just sharing what you guys have to, what you guys, I mean, when you live in a beautiful place that people want to travel to, sometimes move to, you don't often think about the after effects of what that does. We see it, we hear it, you'll hear the locals like, oh, I wish they wouldn't be, riding their quads here or their horses here and things like that. But you don't think about the long-term ramifications as you go through there. So Vanessa, thank you so much for being on with us today. And thank you for supporting live music and taking an event like this and turn it into a community festival and supporting your community with just positive morale. That's vital. So we appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, Jake, for having us on. And maybe one day you can come play at our River Cleanup Festival.
That'll work. Thanks, Vanessa.
Have a wonderful day. Thanks for amplifying.
Hey, we are with Lee. She's with Melrose Vineyards. They host a concert series every year. Lee, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, glad to have you, or glad to be with you.
Yeah, give us a little background on you. Talk a little bit about your family, your career, and the vineyards.
So we are located here in the heart of Roseburg, Oregon. It's in Southern Oregon. It's kind of a unique venue. This has been my home. We have pioneer family roots here as well. Melrose Vineyards has been here since 1994. And music and hospitality, food and wine has always been at the core of what we do here at Melrose Vineyards. Starting, we have a huge event center, and we love to do anything we can to be down there and playing outside and having good food, music, and wine. So we will start this year our concert series in June. Pardon me, we're going to do 1 week earlier. We're going to open it up the last Saturday in May.
Oh,
And
great.
then we will roll through on Wednesdays, 2 Wednesdays a month, every other Wednesday, all the way through the summer. And then we'll end with a big end of summer bash in September.
Very good. Where did that vision come from? To be a winery, to be a vineyard, and to have an event center. Where did that come from?
It really came from Wayne Parker and his wife, Dee Dee. They were from the Fresno area. And so when they came here to Douglas County and started building on this historic property, they saw a bigger vision of not just a winery, but really opening it up so that everyone was welcome, whether you liked wine or not. So let's have good food and good times. And that's what kind of really started. And there was nothing else like it, other than if you were to go back at the time, we had a Buckaroo barn, but not really a place where a wide variety of bands, local and from out of the area, could come and play.
Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the music that you have. Give us some samples of the genres that you entertain.
So actually, last year was my first year that we dabbled in a little bit of jazz. It was kind of unique because a lot of people that come here love to dance. And so any band that can do a West Coast swing vibe is loved. So right now we do classic rock to country. So 60s, 70s. And then my country band does covers of everything from, like they've got some Garth all the way up into some contemporary country music. I have a gentleman that plays some folk mixed with a little bit of rockabilly.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have another gentleman that comes from out of the area that he plays when I hear him play Love Train, I have to stop and say, no, that's not the original artist. But he also does a mixture of Polynesian because he is
Oh,
from the islands.
uh-huh.
And so it's just beautiful.
Very cool, very cool. What do you feel like is the strength of your concert series? What makes it unique?
Definitely the outside setting. And then two, we were the first ones in the valley. We brought food. So we do all our own on-site catering. And so the food that we provided made us unique. And then it was just to kind of, we have the feel of like, come to our back patio. And so it's just a big patio party.
Wow, that's good. Now, I don't want to call them weaknesses, but what are some challenges that you have had in building this endeavor?
You know, it's always the cost to cover the bands.
Hmm.
So you're always trying to figure out how to keep people coming, keep it reasonable. But I mean, the artists aren't shouldn't never play for free.
Right, right.
So that's always the key is like, where do we make money? Because we plan on the fact that we should get a minimum of 250 people.
Mhm.
And so you're always looking to make sure that you just made enough money to cover the house and that people were engaged with that band. So I have a core group of people that come to each one, and I'm like, okay, so how'd we do this week? You know, is this kind of what we were wanting to hear? Did you enjoy it? How does the band sound compared to last year?
Yeah, yeah. Now, do you take sponsors? Do you have donations? Do you have companies that sponsor events?
You know, we haven't thus far. It's Douglas County has some bigger music events that are free that we do like in our parks. And so the sponsors pretty much go there. And so we try to leave those dollars for them. And, you know, we sell beer, wine. And so it always kind of covers itself. Um, but it's a thought process to open it up to more sponsorship, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. I just wondered, as you look to the future, what are some visions that you have?
Um, One of my biggest is that to get some bigger recording artists from out of the area. So that's definitely looking at sponsorship, you know, to bring some like, you know, we've had people that were on American Idol, The Voice come out this way. Maybe even some cover bands of rock and roll. Also, love to have some, you know, retiring country artists that just would love to come see what this country's like,
Yeah.
you know, and host that for sure. This Douglas County predominantly is a huge classic rock and country. Yeah.
Let's talk about
So
the
that
fires. Let's talk about the fires you guys just had this last year. Did you have to cancel any weeks because of the fires?
um this year I did not well, pardon me, yes we did because we lost power
Hmm.
on one of my weeks, and that is very hard. And then we pulled the last two concerts because the smoke was getting bad in September.
Sure.
And it was just, you know, so then you're looking at your profit margin. And so that's why I didn't put any dates except for my end of summer party in September.
Right.
And if it's looking good, I can always throw one together.
It was an enlightening experience. We were Myrtle Creek area. I don't know how far that is from you, but it's more towards the coast, but southern side. And I got to experience my first fire camp. It was amazing to see a tent city in the middle of a mountain. That was an impressive sight just to see that and to watch a community, embrace the support of all these firefighters and volunteers that are trying to save their homes
Yeah.
and their structures. So we see it in Montana a little bit, Utah some, but what we saw in Oregon was impressive. That was and the smoke was there. It was
Yeah.
definitely affecting our vocals and even our instruments a little bit. That's unique. If how many years have you been doing this concert series?
Oh, goodness. Since 10.
Okay, long enough to establish it. It's
Oh,
established.
yeah.
You've got a successful thing going on. What advice would you give to the young vineyard that's looking to start from scratch. They've got an establishment. They do their tastings. They've got tourism coming through, and they're thinking about adding a concert series like you've done. What's some advice you would give them?
Find your niche. What makes you special? What's going to make people come? Whether it be the fact of that you're totally kid friendly, or maybe you're just going to let them come in with their lawn chairs. But above all, you've got to make people feel welcome.
Yeah.
Or they're not going to come back. So find your niche in the food, the music, or what you just offer on that day, and then don't forget your hospitality.
Yep. That would be it. Very good. Well, Lee, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, we're with Courtney Allison. She's with the Comal County Fair and Rodeo. Courtney, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Courtney, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? Talk a little bit about your family and your career.
Yes, so I am born and raised in New Braunfels. I've been going to the Comal County Fair and Rodeo since I was a little girl. My dad joined just solely to get carnival passes, and it has turned into way more than carnival passes. So I am the marketing director for the Comal County Fair and Rodeo, and I'm very happy to be here today.
All right. How long have you had that position?
I have had this position for, oh goodness, since 2012. So, and I think it's important to note too that I am a volunteer in this position. I am not a paid employee. I am a volunteer in this marketing role position.
Okay.
So,
All right. So let's just jump in. Let's talk about the when and the where first.
mm-hmm. We are a county fair that is held the last full weekend in September. So sometimes we run into October, but we are Wednesday through Sunday in September, and we are located in New Braunfels, Texas. A lot of people know our little town because of Green, Texas, and then Schlitterbahn. So we are smack dab in the middle of both of those events.
All right. If give people a visual of what your county fair consists of through the week.
So I will tell you that going back to our roots, we used to have a horse race that happened at our county fair. We no longer have the horse races, but we still have the barn where the horses used to be stalled up at. We have a rodeo. We pride ourselves on our corral, which is live music and dancing under the stars, which is unique. We have a carnival. We have a kid education area that is geared towards making sure we invest in the community and exploring the agricultural side of things, because not a lot of kids understand where our fruits and vegetables and our meat come from. We have a livestock show as well. And then we have food vendors and carnival vendors and lots of vendors, but really a family-friendly event.
You've been involved with this for over 10 years now, 12 to be exact, working on your 13th. What do you feel like is the biggest impact that the county fair makes on the community?
So we have a local hometown parade. So you say 13 years, but it's been my whole life. So I was a fair princess for our local fair when I was a junior in high school. And so we have a parade that all of the girls go to and get to ride in the parade. But the unique thing about our parade is that it's on a Friday, and our whole town and community shuts down for this parade. Everyone comes and sits along the parade route, and it's not just a little parade route, it's a big one. And as our community has grown, our parade route has grown.
Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the impact the community has had on your county fair. Let's talk about that.
So our community has grown. We are one of the fastest growing communities. And so with that, we've had some challenges of how to grow our county fair, but stick to our roots. But all the people that have moved into the area that come to our county fair are very grateful for being able to stick to our hometown roots. And they can really see that in the events that we're able to offer our hometown people and just anyone who comes to our fair. We're trying to stick to that, and our community sees that we are sticking to that. Even though we are growing and evolving, we're still sticking to our traditions.
There you go. There you go. Now, obviously, your county fair is deeply rooted in agricultural and livestock. You mentioned that you really feel like you have a platform to educate the community on where fruits and vegetables come from, where the meat on the plate comes from. Talk about how you do things outside of the county fairgrounds to continue that mission.
So to continue that mission, we have a partnership with our local Texas AgriLife, and they are the ones that really help promote it outside of the fair. But we encourage and allow our community high schools to have their events on our grounds. And just anywhere that we can be a positive impact as a fair and supporting our traditions and what our mission is, we highly take part in those events.
Perfect. Let's talk about the future. You've talked a lot about the past. You've been involved with this for a long time and you have a passion for it. What are some things that you hope to see in the future for your fair?
I hope to see that our mission statement continues to grow with that ag education teaching. A lot of our local farms have diminished with houses, which is very sad, but I want our kids to really understand that in order for this fruit to get on your plate, this had to happen. So continuing to grow that educational opportunity for our kids is something that I strongly am working towards, and our executive board and officers are working towards as well.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, talk about your own. Do you have children of your own yet?
I do. I have 2 boys.
And they are currently and actively involved in that process?
They are actively involved and they are excited to learn, and we have tons of conversations on how our food gets to our table in our house.
There you go. There you go. Very good. If you looked and you were just, I don't want to call them struggles, but they could be. If you look at some of the struggles that your county fair has faced in the past and currently face, how would you describe those?
I would describe them as the cost of inflation. We're a small county fair, but we're a large county fair in the same sense, but we're trying to make it welcome and inviting to all, so that way everyone can afford to come and get that experience. But I would definitely say like price and sticking to being family friendly has been an obstacle for us to find that balance.
When you do that, your main source of income from your fair, is it sponsorships? Is it advertising? What are some avenues that you guys explore to offset your costs?
So we are a 501c3, so we do explore sponsors. We do charge an admission fee, so we try to keep that minimal. In order to participate in things, there's a fee, but we do try to keep that minimal as well. So it really comes back to our sponsors and what our sponsors are willing to donate to keep us running and to keep us alive and afloat. Another fun little fact I will say is that we are one of the only county fairs who owns our grounds. So we own part of our grounds. So that is also an expense that most people don't have, that we do have, is maintaining our own grounds.
Sure. Now, let me ask, some of their county fairs have talked about rental opportunities and using their county fairgrounds when they do own them to take advantage of that as a source of income. Are you guys able to do that?
We are able to do that. It's just finding the right things and the right fit. We're in the middle of a neighborhood, but it's making sure we keep our neighbors happy while at the same time making sure we bring enough revenue for ourselves.
Yeah.
So
very good. Very good. Last and probably most important, if other county fairs are out there watching this, hearing it, listening to it, they want to get in touch with you. They have some questions about how you're doing things and exchange information. What's a great way for people to contact you?
You can always message our Facebook page. You will get directly in contact with me and I can respond to you. Or we also have a marketing email, which is marketing@comalcountyfair.org. And you will also get directly in contact with me and I'll be able to answer any questions that you have there.
Very good. Very good. Courtney, thanks for being on with us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Rise above positivity, that's the key. To live a life that's wild and free. Don't you know we can be anything we want to be?